Top of the midnight to you, ladies. My name is Frank, and today we'll be ranking some Renaissance art. Now, in my eyes, all art are created equal. Just some are more equal than others. This is actually my second take of the video, but I decided that I should just restart. The work of art that I place in B tier is called Lo Spinario, or the Thorn Puller. It's a Roman after a Hellenistic model. And the expressionless face, the organized hair, as well as the soft body of this youth is very reminiscent of Roman statuary. And it looks like this right here. And it's a solid B tier because I feel like it doesn't give me enough oomph. Um, as someone who has looked at other or studied other works of art, but high B is good in my opinion. A B is always good. Second painting would be Caravaggio's The Beheading of St. John the Baptist, painted from 1604 to 1605. Beheading. Oh, 1608. My bad. The one that I gave the date for would be the death of the Virgin, which will come up. But what I like about this painting in particular is the fact that it's subversive. So my professor, Professor Kinew, commented how in this painting, the people who are calling for the beheading of Saint John the Baptist, which would be Salome, um, from the Old Testament and the Bible, where she danced for King Herod, and she asked for Saint John the Baptist's head because he had insulted her mother. And none of those characters that I mentioned, the ones who are calling for Saint John the Baptist's death, is depicted here. Rather, what is depicted here is the the people who are carrying out the dirty work, um, and that sort of dichotomy between the cowards who give out the orders and the people who actually do the dirty work is something that I found to be interesting. And we see the elderly woman holding her face in her hands. And she's really the only person in this painting who understands the gravity of what is happening. Now you see that there's some fur next to Saint John the Baptist. I think it's part of his garments actually. So this is in reference to Saint John the Baptist being the one of the prophets who recognized Christ as the Christ child as the Lamb of God. So with that being said, oh yes, this is another thing that I want to note is that the figures they're all dressed in what uh, the contemporaries of this painting would have dressed. It's people who you would see out on the streets. And if that is not evidenced by their clothing, then it is certainly evidenced by their physiognomy, their appearance. That is very typical of people you would just find out in the streets, and that's typical of Baroque art. All right, with that being said, I think that this painting ranks at a solid B ahead of Los Monario because I feel like I would really like the idea of like the cowards who call for some sort of action versus the people who actually do the dirty work. Okay, so the next painting would be Parmigiani Parmigianino's self-portrait in a convex mirror. It's an oil on convex panel painting. Um, it's this one. And so there's a lot of things that I want to talk about this with regards to this painting. One is that it demonstrates a topos, which essentially means a visual or literary motif that is repeated throughout works of art. And the topos here would be how a work of art can blur the lines between reality and fiction in the sense that this painting, it looks as if it were a reflection of someone in front of a convex mirror. But that is not actually what is happening. It's this painting is deceptive. This is self-conscious quality to the painting, this self-conscious artifice that really exemplifies what the Mannerist movement of art is. It's really about the virtuoso, the talent of the artist, giving the artist the opportunity to show off their skill. And there's also another thing that I would like to point out. It's how um, in Leon Battista Alberti's treatise on painting, he commented how Narcissus must have been the first painter because um, Narcissus was so enamored with his own reflection in the pool of water that he actually drowned in that pool of water in an attempt to grasp the image, which he obviously wasn't able to do. And that reflection of Narcissus in the water is what Alberti believed painters should aspire to, in the sense that painters should aim to depict the reflection of nature onto their canvas, like how Narcissus's face was reflected in the water. So I think that's really cool. And we also see in the background of this painting how the wooden beams on the ceiling is actually curved, how the walls even curved, the door as well, and the window. For that reason, I would actually alright, I'll put this in the A. I really like this one. Oh, next one is also really good. Honestly, guys, these rankings are really subjective, and on any given day, it would move up and down anywhere. So honestly, all of them are S tier, in my opinion. All right, next one would be Agnolo Bronzino's Pygmalion and Galatea. This one. So this one also, wow, it's 12. I should really go to sleep. That's okay. So this painting is significant in a few respects. So like the previous painting, this painting also embodies a topos in the sense that um, it embodies a work of art that comes alive. And what I mean by that is that the story of Pygmalion and Galatea is a story where Pygmalion, a sculptor, was very disillusioned with the woman in his town, and he sculpted this beautiful figure out of ivory, and he named it Galatea. And this sculpture, he would sleep with it, he would kiss it, he would do all sorts of things with it. And he just wishes that this beautiful sculpture that he has made would actually be alive. And Aphrodite, taking pity onto this man, she actually turned the statue into a real living human being. Now, this painting depicts the sacrifice that Pygmalion makes to Aphrodite for bringing Galatea to life, and Galatea's body is very interesting in a couple respects. One being how the body of Galatea is very reminiscent of Michelangelo's nude bodies that he would sculpt and paint. This is obvious, or this is either an homage to Michelangelo or at least a recognition of Michelangelo's mastery over the male nude, over depicting the male nude. But obviously here the figure is supposed to be female. The elongated torso, legs and limbs of Galatea is idealized, and also as a result, an embodiment of the Mannerist movement, where they sought to really portray their subjects as the most beautiful and idealized that they can. I really like this story, or I really like all of the stories, I don't like things, but the story's pretty good, so let's give it the same tier as Parmigianino's painting. Our next one up would be Jacopo Pontormo's Portrait of a Halberdier. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It's just a person who wields a halberd, and possibly a portrait of Francesco Guardi. Guardi. Oh, right, she spelled it wrong, actually. Yeah, this will be Francesco. Um, this painting is, again, an embodiment of the Mannerist period um, of the Renaissance. So the story is, or the context surrounding this painting is that the young man depicted is a youth, 16 years of age, who has to rise to the occasion of defending Florence against the invading papal army, and also an army led by Charles V. And among the enemies include the Medici family and the enemies of the Republic of Florence. And this painting is interesting in a few respects that I would like to point out. The first is how this is about a young man, a child really, 16 years of age, who really has to rise to the occasion of becoming this man, this soldier who has to defend his home city against an invasion. I think that's very admirable. And also, this boy's face, this nonchalance, conveys a sense of what Baldassare Castiglione would refer to as sprezzatura, this nonchalance or effortless grace that he's embodying right now. In the face of an imminent invasion, he still remains calm, cool, and collected. He has this grace or grazia to him as well, in his pose and also just his overall posture. Similar to the Galatea and Pygmalion painting that we looked at earlier, the Pontormo really um, embraces the propositions that Michelangelo brought forth in the sense that he uses contrasting colors this red of his pants and the light tan of his uh, upper body clothing. It's really characteristic of how Michelangelo paints. You can think back to the Donny Tondo, which we will talk about later, for that contrast in color. What is also very interesting is the medal that hangs off the top of this youth's head. This medal is depicting an episode from one of Hercules' labors, and here he has to defeat Actaeus, who is the son of Gaia, or Earth. And as long as Actaeus is connected or standing on top of the Earth, he cannot be killed. So in this medal, we see Hercules lifting Actaeus up to defeat him. I really like the idea of a young man rising to the occasion. That is actually a motif that will appear time and time again throughout these paintings. For that, I'll give it an S here. Okay, I think I'll need like another tier, maybe, but we'll see. Okay, so the next painting would be Lorenzo Lotto's Lucretia, or sorry, portrait of a woman holding a drawing of Lucretia. Let me see. Yeah, I actually need to go to sleep soon. So this painting is very significant, in a few respects, or and also very interesting in a few respects. So this woman is holding a drawing of Lucretia, and Lucretia, according to I'm not sure if this is mythology or if it actually happened, but the story goes on that King Tarquinius, or the Prince of Tarquin, um, Tarquinius, he actually R-worded Lucretia. I'm only using R-word because I don't want to get demonetized, and I actually doubt this video is actually going to get demonetized, but um, that besides the point. She gets R-worded and she tells her husband and father of what happened, and she actually ends up offing herself because she did not want to live as a woman who has been violated. And the story goes on that the people of Tarquin learned of this and they actually overthrew the ruling party, and eventually led to the establishment of Rome. What is powerful about this painting is that this is a painting of a woman making a statement about her own purity and just her own resolve in maintaining her purity. And what is written on that note on the table here translates roughly to Lucretia. The act of Lucretia gives no unchaste woman an excuse to keep living. Essentially saying how unchaste women should um, not exist, I guess. Um, that's quite powerful. It's quite a powerful statement, and definitely a loaded statement. And we don't really know we can only postulate what the woman depicted in this painting is trying to show by holding a drawing of Lucretia, but we could possibly postulate that she, like, Lucretia will live as this chaste and modest and uh, virtuous and pure woman. And there are also other interpretations of who this woman being depicted is. Excuse me. Um, one being that she is a woman who is about to get married because the yellow wallflower on the table is a common lover's gift, and the pendant that she is wearing, as well as the ring um, on her finger, indicates that she might be a married woman or a woman who is about to get married. There's also an ironic interpretation of this painting, which is that the woman is actually a prostitute because Lucretia is actually a commonly used name for prostitutes back in the day, and the way that her necklace hangs provocatively on the lining over her chest, um, may and the extremely over the top wig might indicate that she is a prostitute, but we don't know. This painting, I want to put it. I think just because of the story behind it. Okay, the story behind it and the message. Okay, I feel like that goes into painting as well. So I will say, um, wait, I need to like maybe add in another. Yes, a new row. High B, low B. Okay, I think that this one would be high B. All right, next painting would be a portrait of Cosimo de' Medici by Agnolo Bronzino. Agnolo Bronzino is actually the favorite court artist of the Medici family. Um, it's portrait of Cosimo de' Medici as Orpheus. Um, a couple things about this painting. So the paintings of Agnolo Bronzino have this very soft and luminous quality to the skin that he depicts and renders. It may stem from his study of ancient statuaries, which, mostly made of marble, very soft and luminous. Um, it also conveys a sense of like uh, it being cool and removed and distant from the viewer, and that may be because he wants to convey how Cosimo, the Grand Duke of Tuscany, he's not just some ordinary Joe. He's someone of a particular status and pedigree, and the fact that he's so cool, distant, and removed from us shows that he is someone on a whole nother level. And the story behind this painting, the story of Orpheus is how Orpheus's wife, Eurydice, got bit by a snake and was uh, killed. And Orpheus plays I think it's called the lyra, and he plays it so well that it convinces the gods to let him go to the underworld and get his wife back. This dog here is Cerebrus. Not really sure how to pronounce his name, but he plays a song, and I think it um, causes the dog to go to sleep, and he was able to enter through the gates of Tartarus, I think. Not, yes, the curvature of the torso here, that's a reference to the torso Belvedere. It's an ancient marble statue from antiquity, um, where the side of the torso is like bent, like how it is here. very common motif used by various Renaissance artists, most notably Michelangelo in his Sistine Chapel, where he depicts the 20 nudity, nude males, nude figures. And yeah, I think that this has to be one of the C's or D's. I mean, D doesn't mean bad. Like, I actually like the painting, I like the story. It's just I have to like populate this accordingly. And it's already so subjective, and I just feel like putting something at like a low tier. All right, how long have I been recording? 25 minutes. That's fine. All right, let's see. Next painting would be Titian's Danae. There's Cupid in the corner, so that would be his 1441. Sorry, 1440, 1544 edition. Um, so it belongs to a class of images called the Amor di Jove, which basically means the loves of Jupiter. Jupiter was known for R-wording a lot of different maidens and young women and men and princesses. Um, and the story of Danae is that Danae's father received prophecy that his grandson would kill him one day. He doesn't have a grandson yet, but one day his grandson will kill him. So he imprisons his daughter, Danae, who is this beautiful female figure in this painting, and he just locks her up in this tower. And Jupiter somehow caught wind of this and noticed how beautiful she looked and actually just became a cloud and impregnated her with gold coins. Sorry, impregnated her. That would be through the depiction of gold coins here. A couple things. Jupiter was not a good mythological god. Terrible person. Um, but onto the painting again. So there's this haptic and tactile quality to Titian's paintings. Most notably, we see how uh, the fabric of the bed that TNA lies on, how it like, how do I say, it creases and folds under the weight of her body, and the way that her fingers are intertwined with the fabric really evokes a sense of touch in this painting. And we look at the gaze of Dana in this painting. It's one of um, let's say one of where she I'm not really sure how to word this, but she, according to this image at least, it conveys the Amori di Giove painting here as something that she isn't opposed to. Um, and we'll see another painting in the story where it's in complete inversion of what's being depicted here. How we'll get there, but um, this painting was actually commissioned by a cardinal, and the face of the of Danae was actually meant to be one of the cardinal's like mistresses, like courtesans. But the Council of Trent happened, and um, it wouldn't be a good look for the cardinal to own a painting that happens to pick a nude female who also happens to be his courtesan. So yeah, this is a little bit about the painting. There's this reading we had to do in class called the Diane Wolfall's heroic R-word imagery, and it just talks about how artists during the Renaissance Um, and also, even art historians today, they aesthetic, aesthetic, aestheticize and downplay and also water down and just sort of gloss over the violent aspect of artward imagery and really just focus on like the form and and other like elements of the painting. So there's that. Where I rank this painting, I so this painting definitely functioned as like erotica, um, or it could have functioned as erotica. Um, and in fact, it was actually um, I'm not sure if it ended up. There's another version of this painting that ended up in the hands of King Philip II of Spain, and it definitely served a purpose of um, erotica as well as another purpose, which I will discuss when we get there. With that being said, I'm not sure where I want to rank this. I think a C. I think a C is reasonable in regards to where everything else is in this painting. Right, this one would be the next one up would be. I think the next one's gonna be my last one. So this one is Benvenuto Cellini's Perseus with the Head of Medusa. This actually represents the topos in art, which is the work of art that petrifies the viewer. By petrify, I just mean that the work of art is so beautiful and so stunning and very astounding that it locks the viewer in place, who is completely taken in awe with the work of art. And I think we know the story of Perseus. Perseus is actually the son of Danae. He did end up killing his grandfather, although accidentally, or not intentionally at least. And he slays one of the Gorgons, or maybe all three. But at least he slayed Medusa. And Benvenuto Cellini, this is a book written by Michael Cole called Cellini's Blood. And this sculpture represents a the difficultà associated with sculpting uh, with bronze. Yeah, Cellini had to create this sculpture with a single pour of this liquid hot molten bronze, and that is akin to the liquid of blood. So the liquid of bronze is comparable to that of blood, in the sense that it instills life within the figure of Perseus. Um, this figure stands in the Loggia dei Lanzi in Florence, and it stands in the next to the Loggia dei Lanzi would be the Piazza della Signoria. Um, I believe it would be the seat of the Florentine government, and there are other works of art that will come into play that with this sculpture. So I'll leave that. I really like the idea of the topos of the work of art being something that petrifies. So since there is literary significance, I will definitely put it with these three. I feel like A tier is getting pretty crowded. I mean, all of these are such classical, like such classic paintings, right? It's like, how do you even decide? All right, I think I'm gonna add another one. Just gonna insert one below. I call it low A, high A. So, all right, let's see. Excuse me. I think. Hmm. These can stay there, honestly. But yeah, we got through. So 35 minutes. We got through one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, nine paintings. So in my class, we had to learn about like 10 paintings a day, or sorry, not 10 paintings a day. That would be too much. Like 10 paintings a week, approximately. So yeah, this might be like a 10-part series, but I hope that you guys, I hope that you guys learned a little bit about Renaissance paintings. There's so much more that I could talk about for these paintings, but I can't really because time constraints and it's also midnight and I want to go to bed. I have finals to study for, which I probably won't study for. I'm probably just gonna play video games as per usual. Um, so to my viewers who are students still, please do not do that unless you're sure you don't care about the outcome. Um, yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed my tier list ranking so far. And I'm just an art student. I don't know, like I'm not an expert. Professor Kinew, the teacher who taught me everything I know about Renaissance art, and also my section leader, Rosita, um, who taught me so much about Renaissance art as well. They are the experts. I'm not. So please take my what I say with a grain of salt. And uh, yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys thought was the best painting, or in your opinion, which one you thought was nice. And yeah, this will be definitely a series that I look forward to making. Have a good one, guys. Good night.